panels not only react to the horse, it's not only to support the saddle on the horse, but it's also to connect the horse and the rider. Hi, I'm Filippo Rancati, official saddle fitter for Prestige. This is Saddle Up. In this video, we're gonna talk about panels. The first thing we need to say in panels and in Prestige, we have three different technologies in the panels. First one is latex, which is a pre-molded foam, and then it's only covered with leather. And then we have two different options that are both slope, classic panels and LPF. When we're talking about flocking and Prestige, the first thing is talking about what material we use in the flocking. It's not natural wool. We choose to go for synthetic wool. It's called Ducken. Why did we choose a synthetic wool? First of all, because the fiber, it's not flat, but it's zigzag, so it offers greater support. It doesn't collapse so fast, so it's a little bit more steady in time, and it's easier to work with, especially when you work with steam. This fiber reacts to steam, and when you heat it up, you can mold it really easily. And when it cools down, it keeps the shape. What options gave to us the choice of the Dacron? The main thing is that we can work on lower thicknesses because the material is really supportive. It doesn't squish so much, so we don't have to put that much material in the panel in order to support the saddle and give steadiness to the saddle on the horse. Here we have a classic panel. Classic panel means that you have a shell outside in felt, a soft foam on the side of the horse. Then we have the Dacron as a flocking, and on top we have this really high density felt on the side of the saddle. This panel, it's really steady, it keeps really easily the shape, and this is the panel that we normally give on the classic line of Prestige for those horses that are more amateur horses that need a little bit more stability in the saddle. This is LPF. It's really similar in construction as the classic panel. LPF, by the way, stands for Light Performance Fitting. The difference is that the first layer, it's made in 3D mesh. Then we have the foam, Dacron flocking, and the high density felt on top. What's the difference between LPF and classic? The LPF, it's softer, it's more easily moldable. You can stay on thinner thicknesses, so it's really, really useful for those horses that do high performances, high level sport, because it gives them the greatest mobility, the greatest freedom in their movement. So this is what we have in Prestige as three different options in the panel. On top of this, we have many different options when we talk about shape of the panels. For example, the first great difference that we have, it's non-integrated panels, so free panels. You see they are rounder and they are attached only by 3 quills to the saddle. These are the integrated panels. Integrated panels are stitched to the sweat flap and not quilted as the free panels are, which give you a different fitting option and a different sensation for the rider. When we look at both of them, we see that not only the type of panel is different, but of course also the shape of them is different. When we look at the free panel, here the twist, it's a little bit narrower, rounder, and it's rounder also here in the wither area, which is gonna give a little bit more support, especially for those hollow wither. Here in the integrated panels, we see that this part, it's a little bit wider. Here it's a little bit wider, and of course it's flatter, so it's gonna give us more steadiness for the horses that probably a little bit rounder. For the rider as well, this changes the sensation, because of course here we are having a full flap, and so a little bit more support also here for the knees. And here we're gonna have a sensation of a little bit more close contact, because instead of having the full sweat flap here, the thigh of the rider, it's directly on the panel. So it's not only a choice for the horse, it's also a choice for the rider. Different panels, they give different sensation to the rider. In some saddles, we also have a different option for the panels. For instance, these are classical panel, so you see that the point of the panel are standard length. We also have what we call cut panels. They're named CP. You see that the point of the panels are shorter and the shape it's rounder and not as pointy. Why do we do so? Because the panels not only react to the horse, it's not only to support the saddle on the horse, but it's also to connect the horse and the rider. So when you have bigger shoulder and rider that feel that the saddle it's a little bit too wide or that they squeeze a little bit more, the cat panel gives the horse a little bit more shoulder freedom. When instead we have a horse that it's a little bit narrower in the front, or we have a horse that needs a little bit more support in the shoulder region, we go for a longer panel, so we displace the pressure on a wider surface and we give more stability to the saddle. Then again, when we're talking about panels, we can have different shapes in the panels. So, for example, we can have standard flocking, half flocking, +1, +2 in the back. The same we can have with the latex panel. We can have +1 through all the surface, so when we need a little bit more support through all the surface. We can have a shoulder-free flocking, which means that you don't have flocking here in this area, so it's gonna give more freedom of movement and it's gonna adapt better to those horses that has really prominent shoulder. We can have belladonna flocking. Belladonna comes from Belladonna Meredith Meerbaum's horse. She had huge shoulders, so in order to give the rider the feeling of having a little bit narrower horse, we did a flocking which is absolutely super thin in this area. So imagine you have a panel with absolutely no flocking here, which gives not only greater mobility to the shoulder of the horse, but also a narrow twist feeling to the rider. Of course, this can happen dressage, jumping. These can be made on integrated or free panels. And on top, we added a new type of flocking, which is fixed shoulder free. Fixed shoulder free means that you have a stitching that creates an extreme shoulder free sensation, and it really works for those horses that has broad shoulder and you really need an extreme fixed shoulder free. Then we also have panels that are dedicated only to one saddle, and that's the case of the D1, D2 line, which is this special panel, shoulder free, which not only is shoulder free because it's stitched here and it's a different density foam, but also has a different type of construction. So again, in Prestige, it's about giving as many solutions, as many possibilities to the rider, to the fitter, to find the perfect match between the horse and the rider. That's all for this video. Saddle up, ride smart.